I mentioned before that Alaska's having a lot of problems with their own Chinook populations throughout most of the state. So they're already seeing some of these issues that we're facing. And it's happening in some places for their own wild chum populations. They're also in Southeast Alaska, a lot of their sockeye populations aren't doing very well. So, they they're having a harder time ignoring the problems in their own backyard, and maybe they better relate to what we're saying here south of the border as time goes on, because this is moving north and it is becoming a problem and it isn't going away. To answer Paul's question, though, why are so many, released Chinook and steelhead dying in Southeast Alaskan seine fisheries is because of how they harvest. So, seine is a huge net, and then they kind of they purse the bottom of the net, so it's a huge bag. They bring it inside the boat, and then in Southeast in Canada we put a dip net in and haul out 50 fish or whatever at a time, and you can throw them back into the water. But in Southeast Alaska, they literally haul hundreds, thousands of fish over the side of the boat at once. And if you look at the photos or video, the water is yellow and red because of feces and blood being squeezed out of those fish. So they're crushing those fish. And once they are on deck, even if they're going still alive, they're just flopping around, and there's a hole in the middle of the deck and they flop into the hole. So the chances of actually being able to find a steelhead or a Chinook hopping around with thousands of fish on a deck chaotically and release them back to the water is very low. So that's why when Kate says 90%, it's we don't actually have really solid numbers. That they should actually have independent monitors that provide that information to get us really and do studies to provide that information of how many of those fish are dying. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know the vast majority of them are dying. So steelhead, Chinook, and they can do it differently. We're doing it differently here in British Columbia. If our seine fishermen, if they do it properly, they probably get definitely below 20%, maybe, or sorry, definitely above 80% survival, probably even close to 90% survival. Um, and so they can do it. They can do it differently. And we're doing it differently here. It's just international best practices. So when Alaska says that they're the best managed fisheries in the world, it's really BS, because just have to look at their fishing practices and the lack of information they collect, the lack of DNA analysis, the lack of sharing that information with Canada. There's a whole host of problems here.